Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm Rudy McLennan coming to you from Glasgow, Scotland. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. Pope Francis, along with religious leaders, has appealed not to use religion for war. Only peace is holy, and no one is to use the name of God to bless terror and violence. So said the Pope at the closing ceremony of the annual Spirit of Assisi Prayer for Peace on Tuesday at Rome's iconic Colosseum. The three-day peace summit, held under the theme of the Cry for Peace, was hosted by the community of St. Egidio. It was attended by heads of state, religious leaders and various high-ranking authorities. This year's gathering marks the 36th anniversary of the World Day of Interreligious Prayer for Peace of October 1986, convoked by Pope St. John Paul II in Assisi. This year marks the third consecutive year that Pope Francis is participating in the event. Peace, the Pope stressed, is at the heart of every religion. The pontiff added that there are no magic formulas for ending conflicts, but everyone is summoned to embrace and nurture peace. The Holy Father underscored the plea for peace cannot be suppressed. The Hungarian government is offering a scholarship program to support all communities in need worldwide, including persecuted Christians. Tristan Asbey, the Hungarian State Secretary for the Aid of Persecuted Christians, is responsible for the Hungary Helps agency that offers scholarships. Christianity is the most persecuted religion in the world, he said, adding that more than 300 million Christians are persecuted and discriminated against because of their faith. He made this statement while addressing the opening ceremony of the annual scholarship program for Christian youth in Budapest. According to the official website, almost 200 students are part of the program. They come from Syria, Pakistan, Iraq, Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, Nigeria, Kenya, Ethiopia, and Armenia. The program offers approximately 300 courses at 14 universities in Hungary, ranging from bachelor's to doctoral level. The program fully covers tuition, travel, and accommodation costs. Filipino Cardinal Antonio Tagle, the prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, has supported the Vatican's decision to renew its provisional agreement with China on the appointment of bishops. The prelate said that the Holy See signed the agreement to safeguard valid apostolic succession and the sacramental nature of the Church in China. In an interview with Vatican media, the Cardinal said this can reassure, comfort, and enliven baptized Catholics in China. When asked about the Vatican's silence on the suffering of Chinese Catholics, Cardinal Tagle said, in dialogue, the Holy See has its respectful style of communicating with representatives of the Chinese government. He added that the Holy See never ignores and indeed always makes present the situations of the suffering of Catholic communities. The Vatican announced that it renewed the deal for another 2 years on the same weekend that Chinese President Xi Jinping secured a third term as the leader of the Communist Party in China. The Patriarch of the Chaldean Catholic Church, Cardinal Sako, said that peace must be built through solidarity between peoples, religions and cultures in a world torn by conflicts. Citing the Russian invasion of Ukraine and numerous conflicts in the Middle East, the Cardinal put forth the need for solidarity while speaking at the Cry for Peace conference in Rome. The Cardinal further emphasised the need to work toward creating a civic and democratic model based on citizenship rather than a sectarian system. Addressing the gathering, the top prelate said that the calls for peace are a cry of hope for all of humanity, especially given the dire state of affairs. The Cardinal also lamented the increasing number of fatalities and injuries in the conflict. The Patriarch said, without respect, love and brotherhood, peace cannot be attained. The Sant'Egidio community hosted the conference from October the 23rd to the 25th in Rome. The meeting concluded with a prayer for peace at the Colosseum, presided over by Pope Francis, alongside participants from several world religions. The United States Conference of Catholic Bishops Pro-Life Committee chairman has decried President Joe Biden's statement to codify a national right to abortion. Following President Biden's statement that codifying a federal right to abortion will be his top legislative objective after the midterm elections, Baltimore's Archbishop William Lori issued a response. The prelate, who is the chairman of the U.S. Episcopate's Committee for Pro-Life Affairs, highlighted the Catholic Church's teaching on the sanctity of human life at all stages. He also criticised the president for promoting abortion services rather than using his powers to defend the unborn. The Archbishop beseeched President Biden to acknowledge the humanity of unborn children and the actual life-giving care that women require to end this narrow-minded fanaticism. Archbishop Lori also reiterated that the Catholic Church would assist the mothers and the children before and after birth. In Britain, pro-life supporters will take part in a demonstration on Parliament Square on Thursday, October the 27th. The procession will commemorate the 10 million babies who have been aborted since the Abortion Act was passed in the country in 1967. March for Life UK has invited all pro-lifers to attend the event. The Society for the Protection of Unborn Children, one of the oldest pro-life organisations in the world, is also organising a torchlight procession in Scotland's city of Glasgow on the same day. This year's annual March for Life UK rally that took place in central London on September the 3rd was a huge success. Around 7,000 people participated in the rally, whose theme was 10 million too many. US Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito said the leak of the draft opinion that eliminated the constitutional right to abortion was a great betrayal and a shock. He decried that the leak put most justices at risk, citing the targeting of Justice Brett Kavanaugh. After the document was leaked, an armed man with a pistol, knife and other weapons was arrested near Justice Kavanaugh's home in Maryland and was charged with attempted murder. The justice said the leak of the document made the justices targets for assassination because it gave some people a reason to believe they may be able to stop the release of the final opinion by killing one of them. The justice also emphasised the necessity to adhere to the legal principle Noria stare decisis, which means stand by what has been decided. He made these remarks while speaking in Washington at the Conservative Heritage Foundation. A Nigerian Catholic charity has warned that violence in Anambra and Imo states will worsen alongside a military crackdown as the nation approaches general elections. The Dennis Hurley Peace Institute has raised concern over the possible uptick in violence in the northeast region before the polls on February the 25th of next year. According to the organisation, the release of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the outlawed indigenous people of Biafra, is likely to change the dynamics in the region, causing unrest. On October the 13th, the Court of Appeal in Abuja dismissed the government's allegation of terrorism against Kanu and ordered his release. The people in the northeastern region welcomed his release as they preferred a separate Igbo state and supported Kanu, who also favoured the same. The peace entity of the Southern African Bishops' Conference also raised concerns that the Nigerian government might seize any chance to prevent the Igbos from assuming control of the nation, which may end up in military crackdowns. The Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Uyo in Nigeria has reminded politicians to be wary of violence and hate speech during election campaigns. The country's general elections are slated to take place on February the 25th of next year. Speaking at the 8th biennial National Convention of the Catholic Social Forum of Nigeria in Abuja, Bishop John Ebebe Aya said to ensure the emergence of credible leaders, Nigerians must guard against violence and hate speech. The bishop said that he trusts there is going to be civility and people won't distort the process. Catholic historians in the Philippines have expressed outrage over the Education Ministry's whitewashing of the nation's dark past. The Catholic Historians Association of the Philippines denounced the Department of Education's module that referred to the martial law period in the previous century as a period of new society on October the 24th. The historians decried how the authorities, led by Vice President Sara Duterte, aimed to soften the impact of the martial law enforced by dictator Ferdinand Marcos Sr., the father of the current president. Under martial law, which was imposed on September the 21st in 1972, the Asian country endured a dark period in history marked by extrajudicial killings, the crushing of dissent, and arbitrary arrests. Several organisations report that there were almost 3,500 victims of extrajudicial killings and about 34,000 people were tortured. More than 1,600 people disappeared. Church workers, human rights activists, lawyers, labour leaders and journalists were among the many people who were detained. 2 prisoners on death row in Japan have launched an appeal against how the country applies the death penalty. In Japan, prisoners on death row only now have 1 or 2 hours notice before they're hanging. The authorities said the policy safeguards the victim's emotional stability. Takeshi Kaneko, a lawyer in Osaka for the 2 anonymous prisoners, said the policy was wrong. Kaneko said, "If you give notice on the day, you can't prepare well." He added that it's only due to the convenience of the authorities that they informed the prisoner on the morning of the execution. Some prisoners are held for more than a decade on death row before being killed on an arbitrary date. Moreover, the policy denies prisoners the chance to contact a lawyer and therefore the right of appeal. Mr. Kaneko added, prisoners get insufficient time to contact anyone outside the prison or even to reflect on their upcoming death. Amid the declining number of adoration chapels in England, the Diocese of Shrewsbury has paved the way for change. A new adoration chapel has been inaugurated at St Joseph's Church in the heart of Stockport City. Bishop Mark Davis dedicated the chapel and urged believers to pray for priestly vocations in the country. On October the 22nd, the feast day of Pope St John Paul II, who promoted the practice of Eucharistic adoration, Bishop Davis officiated in a Mass that served as the official opening of the Eucharistic shrine.
And so, on this day, we pray that many souls will be drawn here to discover what St. Paul will remind us, that we received from the Lord himself in the mystery of the Holy Eucharist.
The prelate further urged the faithful to participate in Eucharistic adoration to pray for the sanctification of priests. According to the prelate, a first-class relic of Blessed Carlo Acutis will be venerated in the chapel, seeking his intercession for the spiritual welfare of young people. Hundreds of faithful took part in the inaugural ceremony, pointing this to be a sign of the faith of the people in Stockport. The prelate stated that an adoration chapel was much needed. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us again tomorrow for more, and do remember, you can also visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.